What's going on, everybody, and happy Halloween. In this video, I'm going to be going over my top 10 movies to watch on Halloween. Now, before I even get into my list, don't twist my words. This is not like the ranking of which movies are the best. These are not in order of which ones I like more. These are just in an order of which ones I have the most desire to watch on October 31st. So that is how this ranking is going. So if you see something above, something down here, and you're like, wait a minute, this movie's way better, that's not how I'm doing this ranking. This is just my desire to watch it on Halloween. So now that that's out the way, let's kick it off with number 10, a movie that's probably much higher on most people's list, but a movie that I did not grow up with, and that is The Nightmare Before Christmas. One of Tim Burton's most hailed movies, and if you've watched me for any period of time, you know that Tim Burton is among my least favorite directors. The dude's style just does not fit me. Most of the movies, like far majority of his movies that I've seen, I just don't like. Even the ones that everybody loves and puts in their top 10 of all time. But this movie is interesting because it's a movie I can watch with my kids. I actually didn't even watch it for the first time until me and Holly got together, and I wanted something to watch with the kids, so I went and bought it on Blu-ray. And the interesting thing about this movie is it's a good Halloween movie, and it's also a good Christmas movie. It tells the story of Jack Skellington, where he basically is the king of Halloween, and he wants to branch off and do some other things, so he goes over into the Christmas land and decides to take the job from Santa Claus, and things go a little bit awry. It's, you know, back in the old claymation days, a lot of really good animation, a lot of really good songs that people like love unabashedly to the degree that they walk around singing it on Halloween and in October. So this one is the one that I like to put in whenever I want something to watch with my kids. That's why it's number 10. It is a pretty good movie. It's one of the Tim Burton movies I can actually tolerate and watch. Not my favorite by any means, but a movie that I do enjoy watching once in a while when the holiday fits it. So number 10 is The Nightmare Before Christmas. Number 9 is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Now, this is the one that has a very Halloween feel as far as the holiday itself. The opening of the movie is probably the most Halloween setting, cinematography, set design, and the entire franchise, to be honest. You know, maybe Halloween 3 has a few more, but Halloween 4, the way it opens, you really feel the holiday of Halloween throughout the movie, and it's a pretty good Michael Myers movie. It's never been my favorite. I didn't grow up with this movie, so watching it in 2017, the weaknesses show more than the strengths to me, but I enjoy it. Of course, you can't go wrong with a Halloween movie on Halloween, and this one I do enjoy just because it has that feeling of Halloween, and it's got some pretty damn good kills in it and a pretty wicked ending. So, number 9 is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Number 8 is a movie that you should all be familiar with, and if you're not, the Blu-ray is cheap, so familiarize yourself. Idle Hands. Now, most people don't think of this as a Halloween movie, but the entire movie centers around the Halloween holiday because, you got decorations everywhere. It surrounds the Halloween dance at his high school, and this is one of my favorite horror comedies. This is back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, I believe. It came out, and you got Devon Sawa, who was really big for a while there, the guy who was the lead in Final Destination. Basically, his hand is possessed by the devil. So there's this murderer going around, and Anton is the name of the character played by Devon Sawa. He's the murderer, but he has no idea he's doing any of this stuff because his hand is doing it without his knowledge. So he chops off his hand about a third of the way through the movie, and now him and his friends are trying to chase down this hand while the hand is actually going through and murdering everybody. So it's a cool little horror comedy slasher movie. A lot of really good humor. You got Seth Green in there. I forget the guy's name, but the guy who plays in the Mighty Ducks movies, and he also plays in Daredevil, playing Foggy right now. Always liked him. You have very, very early Jessica Alba and all of her greatness. So I really love this movie, and it does have a very Halloween feel to it. So it's a very enjoyable, fun, and pretty bloody slasher movie. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Idle Hands is number 8. Number 7, moving back to the Halloween franchise, is Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, not the Rob Zombie one. This one, again, it's kind of a double feature. Around this time of the year, it's always kind of the feeling you want to put on Halloween 1 and immediately put in Halloween 2, because they're basically, you could cut them together, and some people have, into one giant movie. I think Halloween 2 is far inferior to the first one, but if I'm watching the first one in the holiday season, I usually have the desire to pop in the second one right after it and complete that little 2-story arc. So Halloween 2, the one where Jamie Lee Curtis is in the hospital, you barely even see anything of her in her movie, in this movie, and basically Michael Myers is just running around. It's a much more of your traditional slasher. It's a lot gorier. It's a lot more of your kind of It's a lot less smart of a movie, but it's very enjoyable. So I recommend seeing Halloween 2 on Halloween. Like I said, you pop in the original, you got to pop in the second one at some point that night. So you had to throw it on this list. It's going to be at number 7 for Halloween 2. Number 6 is Trick or Treat, and you'll find out why I'm emphasizing the "or" in just a little bit. Now, this is a movie I've talked about before. Hopefully by now I have a review out for it. I plan to do one in October, but if not, keep an eye out. Eventually I'll do one. But this is basically a metal horror movie. You got this guy, Henry Weinbauer, who basically idolizes this guy, Sammy Kerr. He's like the Ozzy Osbourne of this movie universe. Sammy Kerr dies in a hotel fire. The kid goes nuts, ends up having getting a hold of this LP record of a studio demo of his unreleased album that he didn't get to release before he died, takes it home, and when he plays the record backwards, he can hear Sammy Kerr from beyond the dead. He helps him get his high school bullies, he helps him get the girl, and then he starts running rampant and killing people and doing a bunch of dark stuff. So, very cool movie, awesome soundtrack, a total hidden gem if you were an 80s metal horror fan. It's one of the best metal horror movies out there in my opinion, and one of the best movie soundtracks of all time. And the whole movie is bathed in Halloween because it takes place, again, just like Idle Hands, it takes place around the Halloween dance at the high school in this movie. So, gotta love Trick or Treat. Definitely check that one out. That is number 6. Moving into the top 5 now. Now this one is going to be very strange among this list, but follow me, okay? Number 5 is the Disney Channel original movie, Halloweentown. Yes, I was a 90s kid. I grew up with the Disney Channel original movies. Little known fact, I bought a shitload of them on Amazon Instant Video. They actually have every single one ever released on there. So for you fellow DCOM fans, you can go and get them for like $3 a piece. But I bought like 12 of them, and most of the time when I'm editing these videos, that's the movie that I put on. As strange as that is, I'll be editing a Hatchet review and watching Johnny Tsunami. But anyway, Halloweentown is a really, really good Disney Channel movie. Now basically it tells the story of these 3 kids, these siblings. Their grandma comes and visits them every single year on Halloween. The mom does not get along with her. They don't want them, or she doesn't want them going out on Halloween. You don't understand why. Then it comes to find out that grandma lives in this place called Halloweentown, where goblins and ghouls and vampires and skeletons and everything are actually real, and they live in peace in this little alternate reality. Grandma is a witch, so is the mom, so is the kids. But unless they get trained that night, or at least the older sister, they're going to lose their powers forever, and there's something evil going on in Halloweentown. So the kids follow Grandma into Halloweentown and help her try to stop the evil. And this is just a great Disney Channel movie. It's probably not a movie that you can watch nowadays for the first time and appreciate how good it is, but as a movie that I grew up with, I love revisiting this movie, especially around Halloween, because it's nostalgia. Most of it is nostalgia, I'll be honest with that, but it's a movie that I can watch with my kids. My kids love it, and my kids' kids will probably love it. It's one of those feel-good family movies that you can just have fun with, and it totally embodies the Halloween holiday in this movie. So I love it. That's number 5, Halloweentown. The sequels are decent. Halloween 2 is probably the only one I would actually watch, but I don't watch them very often, so that's why you won't see any more of those on this list. Halloweentown, the original, that's number 5. Number 4, going back to the Halloween franchise, is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Now, I did not see this movie at all until last year around this time for the first time. And man, I was kicking myself in the ass for waiting so long, because this is an awesome movie. I know some people hate it. Some people think it's like the world's worst thing ever to have a Halloween movie that doesn't star Michael Myers. But you know what? If you take the Halloween name off of it and just think of it as Season of the Witch, just a standalone 80s horror movie, it's awesome. It's weird. It's a lot of sci-fi. There's some horror. There's some gore. Basically, the story is you got this place, Silver Shamrock, that's releasing these 3 masks, and kids are buying them up left and right. Every single day they have this countdown commercial, counting down to Halloween, where they're going to have some big commercial event where the kids put on their masks and watch this commercial worldwide, and people start dying and some strange things start happening surrounding this Silver Shamrock company. I'm not going to give you any more because it's best to go into this movie blind and just take it on the wild ride that it takes you on, but this movie is perfection as far as a Halloween holiday horror movie. This was going to be the first in a series of anthology movies. After they didn't want to do Michael Myers movies anymore, John Carpenter and everybody involved in the Halloween franchise said, let's do something different, and every year we'll just do a Halloween themed story. And unfortunately, this one didn't make that much money, so this is the only one, although I'm morbidly curious what kind of movies they would have came out with, because I love this one. Such a great 80s style horror movie, such an awesome score, a very underrated score. You got Tom Atkins, you got a lot of really great gore and kills. So many wild things going on in this movie. Just, to me, this is right up there with my number one, which I'll get into very soon, for a movie that just really kind of embodies Halloween. When it gets close to October 31st, these top 5 are movies that are just in my brain constantly until I watch them this month. So Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is number 4. Number 3, another Disney movie, though it's not a Disney Channel movie, and that's Hocus Pocus. Another movie that I just grew up with and I love unabashedly. I can watch this movie hundreds of times and never get tired of it, and I watch it every single October. This has got Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, I think Kathy Najimy is the name of the third witch, and basically this is a movie where you have these 3 witches called the Sanderson sisters, where they get hung by the neck back in like the old times. They put a curse on the town saying that, you know, hundreds of years from now, a virgin's gonna light this candle in our house, and we're gonna be brought back, and we're gonna unleash hell and devour all the children of this town in Salem, Oregon. And nonetheless, that happens. Kid lights the candle, the witches are brought back, and these 3 kids are basically on the run trying to not only avoid the Sanderson sisters, but trying to stop them from getting their powers back and devouring all the children in this town to get their life and their youth back. So it's such a fun movie, such a really great Halloween themed movie. There's a lot of funny moments, there's some good little musical numbers in there, so many great characters. I mean, it's very over the top and hokey, but it's made to be that way. But like the performances by all 3 of the Sanderson sisters are great. Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, especially Bette Midler. I mean, it's career-defining performances, as weird as that sounds. Like this, above anything else, probably Sarah Jessica Parker and Kathy Najimy, and especially Bette Midler, probably get hounded about when is there going to be a Hocus Pocus 2 more than any other sequel regarding anything they've done in their career. So I love Hocus Pocus. It's a great movie to watch with your kids. Again, just like Halloweentown, it kind of brings the whole family together. It transcends generations. My kids love it, and my kids' kids will probably love it, and I love it to death. It's one of those movies that automatically in October, that movie is laid out. We're going to watch it at some point. So check out Hocus Pocus. That is my number 3. Number 2 is Trick or Treat. Very, very subtle difference, but very, very huge difference in the movies. Trick or Treat is basically the horror anthology movie that came out a few years back and basically bombed at the theaters. Nobody went to see this thing, and it developed a cult following to the point where the main little monster in this, Sam, who's like this little kid that has a pumpkin sack over his head and carries around this sharp little sucker, became a horror icon off of one movie that barely anybody saw in the theaters. So that right there tells you how awesome this movie is. But this is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, anthology movie, because I'm not a big fan of anthologies. Most of the time I like 1 or 2 of the skits, and 3 or 4 of them I don't like at all, so I never had the desire to watch the whole movie. Every single one in this movie is awesome. It's all Halloween-themed stories. They're very rated R, very bloody, very dark and macabre. I'm not going to tell you anything about the stories themselves because there's a lot of twists and turns and ways that things kind of Tarantino themselves, and you get the ending before the beginning comes later on, a bunch of crazy shit. It's just an awesome Halloween movie. This, again, just like my number 1, and pretty much all the movies on this list, honestly, but more than anything else, just like my number 1, a movie that whenever it's October 31st, I'm like, we're popping it in. The kids are gone, the candy's been handed out, the lights are off, the door's locked, we're putting this movie in, Trick or Treat. So if you have not seen it, the Blu-ray is dirt cheap. You can probably find it on VOD. It's awesome. Definitely check out Trick or Treat for number 2. And my number 1, could I not put John Carpenter's Halloween at number 1? There's no list regarding the Halloween holiday that this movie will not be number 1 on. It's the greatest slasher movie of all time. It's the best of the franchise of Halloween by a landslide. I mean, I'm a Freddy fanatic, I'm a Chucky fanatic before I'm a Michael Myers fan, but Halloween, the original movie, is above anything that the Child's Play or Nightmare on Elm Street franchise has ever produced. It's an awesome movie. So simplistic, so effective. Michael Myers is at his best and his scariest in this movie. You got Jamie Lee Curtis in her first role. Just such a great career-defining movie for John Carpenter and for Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, this is the movie that kind of put John Carpenter on the map. They got the name Halloween. They got barely any money. They got like, what, 10 days to write the script or something like that, and they made one of the most iconic movies, most celebrated movies of all time. There's nothing more I could say about Halloween. I have a full review for it. I'll probably do a revisited review for this whenever I decide to go back through the whole Halloween franchise. So if you don't know about Halloween, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but that is absolutely my number 1 movie to watch on October 31st, Halloween. So What is your guys' top 10 list or top 5 list or top 2, however many movies you want to recommend? Put your list down below for movies that you have to watch on Halloween. So put all those down below, guys. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. If you want to check out my social media links, I've got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter down below where you can click those in the video description, as well as the link to my Patreon page, which is a great way to support this channel, help me build things, help me make things even better for you guys. And also, if you're a patron, you get a lot of cool exclusive content for your eyes only. So check that out, guys. A lot of different rewards on there. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, as always, you can check out a few more by clicking right over here.